The show's about to start. Are you ready? What's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trinopole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of Houday Nation and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, do me a favor. If you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. I am up to 1,070-something subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Let's try to get that rolling to 2,000 as fast as we can. Now, this show and every show is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. All right, guys, today is the day. I know we've been talking about it for 3 days, and the man is very, very, very busy, but I'd like to give for coming on the show, and that is, oh, wait, that's Jeremy. Wait, that's not, I wasn't talking about you. Why? No, I wasn't. Wait, who's
I know you love me, Jeff. I know you love me.
No, but
you
wait,
keep on. Go ahead.
I know there's a guy that's supposed to be on here like three days in a row. What's his name?
Oh.
Do you remember?
I
got it. There he is. How you doing, Dave?
What's up, man?
Welcome.
Welcome to the show, man. I'm very excited to have you on.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the invite. Glad to make it finally.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I know you're a very busy man. Like I said, I always call you Mr. Bengal, so I know you are, man. You've been the voice of the Bengals for what, 30 years now, give or take.
Yeah, this will be number 36 coming up. Yeah,
36, and then 10 years. You and Dan Horde have been together, which I love you guys together. I think honestly that's probably been the best pairing in my lifetime for the Bengals broadcast that you've been paired with. I like you and Dan a lot together.
Yeah, Dan's great. He's a pro's pro, every sense of the word, and talented broadcaster. His preparation is second to none. So never feel like, we're going into a game where, we're going to not be prepared to handle something. And on top of that, he's a great friend. So it's very enjoyable working with Dan Horde.
Well, and both of you are Syracuse grads, so I'm sure you guys got some orange you can talk about. You got orange Bengals, and then you got the Q, so you got a lot of orange in your life.
No doubt. Yeah, I went from the Orangemen to the black and orange with the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, we both are graduates of the Newhouse School of Communications at Syracuse University, which has had guys like Bob Costas and just Ted Koppel going in the Wayback Machine, Marv Albert, Mike Tirico. I mean, there's a long list of guys that came out of the Newhouse School.
Yeah, so I guess if you ever want to get into broadcasting, you should go to Syracuse. It's probably got a good shot at it.
There you go.
All right, Jeremy, go ahead. I know you're dying to ask some questions, so go for it, man.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, I don't know where to start. But
by the way, Jeremy is about to faint. We were talking about this before the show started. We were talking to Dave, and Jeremy's literally about to faint. I can't figure out if he'd faint if he saw Dave Lapham or if he got to talk to Jeff Blake. I'm not sure which one's right now.
I'm
so
really
excited.
I'm just really at a loss for words. But I figure out before we go into some of the old school stuff, I guess we'll keep it new school for a second here. But I was just wondering, we ask a lot of people this, and you are Mr. Bengal. You are the lap man. You are everything. And how do you feel? I know last year we revamped our defense just like we did the year before. I don't know how much in the locker room or how much talk you've been able to have with many people, but what's the feeling around the organization right now about this year? And if we can get Burrow back healthy game one, hopefully, what's the feeling? What's your true feeling about what we've done in free agency, what we've done in the draft, and how do you feel about this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've revamped a big chunk of the football team. There's no doubt. Last year, they redid the linebacker position with 3 draft picks in the 2020 draft. And then this offseason, they redid the back end, defensive backs, all the DBs that they signed, and they had signed those the year before as well. And then in this year's draft, they have 4 defensive linemen, added to the mix. So defensively, it's gonna have a tremendously different look to it. I mean, really about the only guys that and people I think are going to recognize that go back maybe 3 years ago. Jesse Bates and Sam Hubbard. Other than that, there's a bunch of new guys on the football team. That's interesting because I think that's probably the next thing the team's thinking about is trying to get those guys extended before they come into the last year of their contract. So I think that's the next thing that we'll see at some point in time is Jesse Bates and Sam Hubbard, either or, and hopefully both, maybe with some kind of a longer-term contract extension to keep those guys in Cincinnati. But you're right; they've redone the defensive side of things. Joe Burrow's on schedule; he hasn't had any major setbacks whatsoever, so he's tracking to be able to, be the day one starter. I don't think you'll see him do anything in the preseason. I'm not sure what anybody's going to be doing in the preseason.
True,
we might not have a preseason. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean I don't think they're going to have any OTAs. I think it's all going to be virtual. I'd be surprised. I know they're only going to have a 2-day mini camp with the rookies. Veteran players are scheduled right now. There's no real mini camp scheduled for the veterans. So I think I think the union's pretty staunch in their thought that just do it virtually. And you added a game to the schedule. It's 17 games now instead of 16. Don't beat them up with mini camps and all that sort of thing. So. And one thing that the COVID pandemic proved is, you can do things by Zoom and virtually and all those things. And the performance in terms of numbers last year were pretty positive, pretty good. So, and the injuries, there were no severe injuries sustained, no bigger numbers or higher percentage of a severe injury, any of the body parts by missing those mini camps and that sort of thing. So I have a feeling that, whenever you have something that like we went through in this country, like the pandemic, things are going to change. I mean, there's a lot of companies now, all their sales meetings are going to be virtual. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a commercial realtor right now selling office space, man.
True.
Everybody's working from home.
I mean, we're literally doing a virtual meeting right now. That's literally what this is.
Right.
So it's a new technology. So it's cool. I mean, things change, things move on, and figure out different ways to do it. But we got a couple questions here in the chat I want to bring up here real quick. William House, Dave, do you think we will add any more O-line free agents?
I'm not sure if there'll be any more additions. The offensive line, it's right now you've got veteran players out there that are looking to not take a tremendous haircut. They'll maybe get a trim, but they don't want to get their head shaved. So right now, the guys that are left out there are asking too much money for their age or whatever else there is part of their package. And June 1st is the big date. June 1st is the new fiscal year as such. So everybody's salary cap, you're punching into a new salary cap here and deferrals and all that sort of thing. So if the Bengals do have a lineman or a cornerback I thought at some point they might draft a corner. The fact they didn't draft a corner at all, they may be looking at some veteran corners. What other positions they're taking a good strong look at. It's hard to know. But if they're serious about it, they should try to get them signed before June 1st, before everybody is out of cap jail. You get so many teams in cap jail now. You're not competing against 31 other teams in the NFL for a potential free agent right now. You're competing against maybe 20 instead of 31. So if you can get it done before June 1st, it'd be prudent to do it, because then everybody's back in the mix again. But like I said, I think part of their they're gonna keep some capital aside to try to get those extensions done we talked about earlier. I think that's a big part of their next move in the offseason, probably.
Yeah, well, like that sounds like last year, because I don't think they signed Mixon till I think June or July last year. So that's where I'm kind of thinking that's about the same time frame that Bates and Hubbard might get done. Just my opinion.
No, I agree with you. I think no earlier than that, no earlier than June. And there have been some of it. AJ Green got an extension on the plane flying out to the opener, season opener year. He got an extension. His agent and the team consummated the deal. And they'll happen. A lot of times they'll happen in training camp, right before training camp. So, yeah, I think you've got the right idea, I think, as well, June, July, something like that.
Awesome.
All right, well, I want to get into a little bit of Dave Lapham. This is your life, a little history for people who everybody knows you as the radio guy, but they know you played. They just maybe not everybody knows when you played, but you're drafted in the third round in 1974. So you played from 74 to 1983. You got to play in the Freezer Bowl, and you also played in the very first Super Bowl for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Right.
Question. Like I said, I think I told you this before the show started. My uncle was actually at the Freezer Bowl. So, Uncle Bob, I told you I'd tell him you were there. So I know
Bob.
he said, 20 million people or 2 million people say they're actually at there, but there's only like 50,000 people actually at the game. But he was actually there. And you guys, and I know you've been asked this a million times, but you guys came out in short sleeves. Whose idea was that? Did you have Vaseline on, or were you guys just bare armed, or who thought of that?
Yeah, it's I was playing against a guy by the name of Gary Big Hands Johnson, and he was nicknamed appropriately. He had big old muckers on him, man. And he was a really good pass rusher. His hand looked like a hand with 5 hot dogs hanging off of that pass. And he would just come upfield and try to grab cloth, and then just try to pull you out of your cleats a little bit. So I didn't want to have any extraneous cloth. I didn't want to have sleeves on. And I'm from the Boston area, New England originally. I went to school at Syracuse, so I'm used to cold weather. The boys, and that wasn't cold. That was just torturous. I mean, it's like, man, cold's one thing. That was like, I can't explain it. It's almost like we're on Mars, man. It was crazy. but went out and I thought, all right, I'm going to just on Saturday's practice. It was cold on Saturday, not as bad as on Sunday, but it was damn cold on Saturday. It was below zero, not 59 below wind chill, but it was below zero. So I went out just with t-shirt, shorts, and a sweatsuit on. I thought, see what this feels like, and it was tough. But it's not a game. Adrenaline's not flowing. You're not running around as much, at a practice day before game. So, I thought, well, I'm going to go out there and see if we can handle it without the sleeves. We all went out there, decided to go out there without any sleeves on and just wear our football, uniform, football jersey. And the only thing I did differently was put on a pair of socks, put on plastic bags like baggies, and then put on another pair of socks to insulate your feet. Yeah. One thing I did know back from childhood days in New England: once your feet are cold, you're in trouble, man. You're done.
Yes.
Done. So I wanted to make sure it kept those warm. And so the officials said that any exposed skin, you could put Vaseline on. So, they meant face and all that. Well, I'm exposed, so put Vaseline on. And, the league rule was you're not really supposed to do that. You're not supposed to have that stuff on your arms or your jersey or anything like that. But that's it. They damn near canceled that game. They almost postponed the game. So they decided to play it. So they said, okay, any exposed skin, put on Vaseline. So then the Vaseline put that on there on the arms, and it was so cold couldn't even manipulate the Vaseline. You know, it's just like, man, it was like just almost like trying to move. I don't know what it wasn't slick Vaseline anymore. Yeah,
like a beehive.
Yeah. But it was helpful though. I mean, you know, first pass rush, he came upfield and slapped and tried to grab and came right off there. And I thought this might work out. But it was when he did give that big old swash slap. Oh man, you talk about stinging.
Oh,
and that cold. Oh man.
I bet.
And then the worst part of the game was you go in at halftime and you warm up. And then you realize I got to go back out there for another 30 minutes. Oh my God, man, this is going to be brutal. And then you have to go back out and that was the first time I ever experienced the heated bench. You know, they put the propane tanks and heated the bench up. And I did it one time. I sat on the bench one time and I wanted to marry it. I didn't want to leave it, you know. Over. It's like the contrast was so much. I never did it again. I just said, you know, that's too big of a contrast. I'd be better off just staying, you know, my distance away from it and just try to move around and stay as loose as I can that way. But that's the only game I've ever played in my life where I ran around for 3 hours plus and never came close to breaking a sweat. Never even moist on the eyebrow, man. Couldn't sweat at all.
Well, if you did, you probably would have froze.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
It was that cold. So
Eddie Edwards had a habit of taking a towel and wiping his face down when he came off the field. And there wasn't any sweat to wipe off his face, but the little tip of the towel had moisture on it, and it hit his ear, and he got frostbite on his ear, man.
Oh, my goodness, are you kidding?
Crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
I couldn't imagine that. And I know the Chargers, they had to be just shocked coming from California and seeing you guys run out in short sleeves. Like, these guys are freaking nuts. I mean, they had no shot in that. That game was over before it even started. I mean, Dan Fouts couldn't throw the ball. Ken Anderson, who, by the way, should be in the Hall of Fame. And we are, and I know you know Bengal Jim because you've been on a show, and I'm going up there, and a lot of Bengal fans, I hope they're going up there to the jungle, to the Hall on June, trying to get Ken Anderson and Ken Riley both into the Hall of Fame. So speaking of those two guys, what was it like playing with Ken Anderson and Ken Riley? Like I said, both of them should be in the Hall of Fame. I know you've stated that before, but what were they like as teammates?
They were cut from the same cloth in that they weren't, you know, it wasn't all about me. You know, they were quiet and surprisingly quiet. For as great players as they were, real humble, real quiet, but had a definite swagger. You know, they were confident but not cocky. You know, so they knew they were good, but they didn't have to tell the world. You know, they were just going to let their actions speak louder than words. And
right.
They were both unbelievable. Kenny is, you know, and Rattler, God rest his soul, just an unbelievable human being. Both of them are just tremendous people. That's the thing about them is as great players as they were, just absolute fantastic people, and you know, husbands, fathers, everything that you'd expect them to be, they are. And I ended up rooming with Kenny. We were roommates for 8 years, and just got to know him, Kenny Anderson, really well. And you know, Rattler played quarterback at Florida A&M.
Yes.
So I think that's a big reason, or one of the reasons why he's got all the interceptions he has. I mean, 65 interceptions back in the time when he played. If you threw 25 times a game, that was a lot of throws. But Rattler understood route concepts, and having played quarterback, you know, he was just reversing it in his eye. He had the eyes of a quarterback playing in the defensive secondary, and he just anticipated things, broke on the football just when he should. You know, he understood route concepts and okay, what are they going to do? What's the next progression on that concept as the game went along? I mean, both these guys were highly intelligent football players. And the other thing about them, Paul Brown always used to talk about, you know, life after football. Like, you guys are fortunate, the early stages of your working life here, to be able to play in the NFL is a heck of a thing. But you got a long time to work when you're done playing football and
right.
prepare yourself for something. So both of those guys were huge successes after, you know, playing the game of football. And I think that would have made Paul Brown proud. And a lot of guys that Paul Brown drafted, you know, had good productive lives after football in terms of, you know, making something of themselves and reinventing themselves. And those two guys definitely did.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, man, that's awesome to talk about the football part. I guess I will switch it back over to the broadcast announce part just for a second. I want to let everybody know too, though, the reason we got Dave Lapham here today is because he wouldn't give me his address. So anyway, as we move on,
Dave, if you want to file a grievance or whatever against him, I'll back you up. I got you.
As we spoke a little bit before the show, Bengals Weekly, Lap in the locker room, all these guys, all these characters you've been around. It's insane. I mean, you have been around so many different characters that, I mean, from meek and humble to just, what's this guy doing? So
yeah.
I was wondering, and I don't know if the rest of our viewers out there that are watching are wondering, but who is the guy that Dave Lapham interviewed, was in the locker room with, maybe did a Bengals Weekly with, that you always enjoyed the most, or really you might have got a reputation, whatever, but just a truly good guy that you personally enjoyed being, a Cincinnati Bengal?
Yeah, there's a whole ton of them, really. There's a bunch of them, but the guy that comes to mind that had a method to his madness, and Chad Ochocinco, Chad Johnson, who became Ochocinco. I mean, that guy, he took over social media in the infancy stages of social media, and he knew exactly what he was doing, how he was going to do it. He had a plan and he executed it, and the guy ended up doing well by it. And he was always an interesting guy, and you never knew exactly what to expect there, but
on and off the field.
Yeah, on and off the field, no question about it. But yeah, it's. I was thinking about this the other day. With 46 years total, I've basically seen or played with or covered just about every guy, that's gone through the organization, and it's mind-boggling. And you try to think back on all the names, and it's just incredible. We feel so fortunate and have to have been able to play in the Super Bowl and then broadcast the Super Bowl, covering the team. Boomer Esiason was always a guy that no matter what the situation, I always respected the guy. Like you said, the locker room show, that show is tough, man. When you lose a tough game or you get blown out, the last thing guys want to do is see you walk in there with a microphone. Man, they're like, no way, But guys that would step up in those situations, no matter what, Boomer might be the top of the list. I mean, that dude always made himself available, and I can see why he went into the broadcast profession. He had an understanding of what it was going to entail, and I think he just got it. He just understood what the whole thing was about. The relationship between the media and the football player and all of that. Very, very early on. As far as the coach is concerned, Sam Weiss was a sheer delight, man. The dude was, the guy was so entertaining, and you never knew what to expect from Sam Weiss. Never. And he kept everybody on their toes. His players, his coaching staff, the media, his wife, his kids, you name it. Sam was always expect the unexpected, man. No two ways about it.
Yeah, that you bring Sam up. That reminds me, if everybody doesn't know, you have your own podcast called In the Trenches with Dave Lapham. Man, you had Boomer on there, and Boomer was talking about the 1987 season. And I was younger. I remember it, but not that much. But I forgot all the strike and everything, and Boomer and Sam going back and forth in the media. Some of the stories Boomer was telling me where they tried to make up. Or not telling you, sorry. But where Sam and Boomer were trying to make up, and he took him to a comedy club or something, and Sam was sleeping in the car because he never slept. And then Boomer, I think he said he held practice or something for the media or something like that. I don't even remember that story.
Yeah, I mean, Sam had so his mind was so fertile, man. I mean, the guy was. I'm not sure that he ever did sleep, or if he slept. He never went into the he was always, what do they call it, the REM factor, when you're not in the deep sleep and your eyes are always moving. I don't think he ever went into a deep sleep. I mean, I think the guy's brain was always like charged up, and he had some unbelievable ideas about everything with respect to football. And I mean, you look at that team, that 1988 team with Sam and Boomer, and Sam doing what he did, which revolutionized football. I mean, when you change,
the Buffalo Bills stole the offense.
Yeah,
sorry,
started changing rules basically just because of what Sam was doing.
Right,
because Sam was taking advantage of the current rule structure, and then for him, the marriage of Sam and Boomer, for Sam to be such a deep thinker, and then have a guy like Boomer smart enough to execute it all.
Right.
Man, that was poetry that year offensively. That was crazy stuff.
That brings me to the other thing that the Bengals, that's one of the things I try to do on my podcast here. Try to get the narrative out that the Bengals are a bad organization and we've never done anything and yada yada yada. But the new age offenses came from Cincinnati. I mean, the West Coast offense came from Bill Walsh, who was the offense coordinator in Cincinnati. The K-gun that, Buffalo hated in 1988, we call it the no huddle offense or the sugar huddle offense. Yep. They stole it and took it to 3 Super Bowls. I mean, in 88, didn't they they got a rule, or if I remember in the AFC Championship game, didn't they get a rule change or something where the Bengals had the huddle or something like that?
They tried to. Chuck Knox tried to, and he basically remember he had Joe Nash just laying down.
Yes.
To try to slow down, fake an injury.
Yes.
Just laying down, so got a knee injury, got a foot injury, got an ankle injury, or whatever. And it was a mockery was made. And then after that game, that Seattle playoff game, where they basically went to the Seattle sideline and said, "Look, we're going to start penalizing you. No more of that." So Marv Levy said to the commissioner, if you don't do something about this, I'm going to do that and more in the AFC Championship game. And really, the commissioner basically had to make a ruling on if Sam was going to be allowed to run his no huddle or not in that AFC Championship game. And Sam was, beside himself. It's like, you can't take away something we've done all year long, and and at this point in time, take it away. And they decided not to, of course. And you look at it, you look at a lot of anything that's up tempo and multiple receiver sets and everything. I mean, a lot of it goes back to the late '80s when Sam was being so creative offensively with the Bengals. I mean, he changed the game. It really is pretty remarkable. And you look at Sam and Bruce Costa put together great game plans. Dick LeBeau was the defensive coordinator, and he was doing things with David Fulcher that they talk about. Oh, this Pittsburgh Steelers blitz package. They were doing it in Cincinnati with Fulcher.
Yes,
way before Troy Polamalu was even born. I mean, it's like, come on, man. But yeah, it's crazy. They did a lot of things on both sides of the football, very creative in those years. And I look back at our Super Bowl season in '81. We had Lindy Infante, who was very, very creative offensively, and we had the doctor of defense, Hank Bulla, who had a bunch of different looks to blitz packages. And so when you get coaches on the cutting edge like that, and then you have personnel that can handle it mentally and physically, that's when you can be really good. And those two football teams were really good.
Exactly. All right. The chat is blowing up here with questions for the Dave here from the draft. So I don't want to. I know you got to get out of here pretty quick. So I want to get to some of these. Okay. Question from I'm bringing the chili. Dave, do you think Jackson Carmen can develop into a starting right tackle, or do you think he stays at guard?
I wouldn't be bitterly disappointed if either happened. I know they're going to start him out at the right guard position. If we remember back, the 55th player in his draft, Andrew Whitworth, started out at the guard position as well. And Levi Jones was playing tackle with Willie Anderson back in that time. And Levi got hurt, and Whit kicked out to tackle a little earlier than was anticipated, and the rest is history. I mean, Hall of Fame worthy career by Andrew Whitworth. So something like that may happen for Jackson Carmen, or he may be so dominant inside at guard that they want to leave him there. And Riley Reef is doing a good job at right tackle, and they get through the rest of this year that way. And maybe they develop like Deontay Jones has developed, and he and Jonah Williams are the bookend tackles, and Carmen stays inside at guard, or Carmen does go outside the tackle, and Deontay Jones, Smith's inside at guard, or somebody else is inside at guard. So I do think that you do have some options. There is some position versatility with all of them, and I think Frank Pollock's mindset will be my best 5 guys are playing. My best 5 guys are playing, and I have to figure out where that best mix is, and get those guys out on the football field.
I got one more here. Hey, Dave, with Blue. Now, if you ever watch my show, I'm refusing to say his name right until we get a better defense. So I call him Lou Armadillo. But hey, Dave, with Lou Armadillo's background, mostly being with defensive backs, what are your thoughts on the approach he takes to the D-line this year?
Well, I do think last year's D-line, it got decimated by injury, and that's a reality. It's not an excuse. I mean, it's a reality. There were guys playing, God love them, that were literally brought off the street. I mean, it was tough down the stretch. Mm-hmm. So, I'm thinking that there's going to be better players, more depth in the defensive line, and that's where it all starts, guys. Let's face it. It's not just in the offensive line; it's the defensive line as well. 17 sacks last year. You think, wow, just 17 sacks. Well, you have to stop the run to earn the right to rush the passer, and they were a sieve against the run. So, they struggled the last 2 or 3 years stopping the run. So hopefully with what they've done in the draft and free agency, signing the players that they signed up front will make an impact in stopping the run, and the young linebackers will be able to scrape and make plays over the top and then get off the field on third down. So I do think that Lou Anarumo, his philosophy is a hybrid 4-3, 3-4 defensive look, which is a heck of a lot of teams in the National Football League run that kind of thing. And that requires, position versatility as well. And a lot of the guys they drafted have that position versatility where they can be on the edge, kick inside to pass rush, at defensive tackle if need be. So we'll see. We'll see if there's improvement there. But I think they feel like his scheme is sound. They just need guys to execute it at a higher level.
Yep. That's right.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, I got one question for you, Dave, and then I know you're busy, man.
I can hang with you guys for a little bit.
Sounds good.
Hey,
Keep
man,
going, Jeremy.
Appreciate it. Any little bit. First off, we've got a ton of people that have every opinion about the draft. Mm-hmm. So here's my question to you is, how does Dave Lapham feel about the draft? So that way, if you don't like it, they can not like it too. If you do like it, they can learn to like it because Dave Lapham likes it. So,
my opinion on the draft, and the National Football League may be the greatest marketing company in the world.
You think,
man? The draft is 35 million people watched it. I find out how many sports talk radio shows there are in the country because I get a million phone calls to do mock drafts, for over a month before the draft. It is crazy, but that's what makes the league great, but there's a double-edged sword to it where, everybody's a draft expert and everybody's given letter grades as soon as guys are drafted. How the hell do you know? Honestly, it's like it's a 2 or 3 year process. I mean, it's like these guys. You can look at it and to say, oh man, they get an A or a B based on what? Mel Kiper's board. The Bengals don't care about Mel Kiper's board. The Ravens don't care about Mel Kiper's board. The Steelers don't. The Browns don't in the division, and nobody else does. All they care about is their board. They're putting their board together based on what they do schematically, offensively, and defensively, and what players would transition the best into it. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it than just, trying to evaluate a guy based on his performance in college and put like a letter grade. I mean, to me, it's so crazy that if I have a letter grade on a draft every year, it's incomplete until I get on the field, put hands on these guys, and see if they can play. And see if they can translate into what we're trying to do schematically, offensively, and defensively. I do think that, they invested a lot of time and resources into it, just like every team in the league. And you just don't know. It's a 50-50 crapshoot with every round, So And for every success story that you can pull out of a round in a draft, you can pull out miseries. I mean, that's the nature of the beast in the league. It really is. So I think they'll probably hit on more than half their last year. Every single guy they drafted made the team.
I thought last year's draft was really well.
Yeah.
I like, and I'm really high on Logan Wilson, to be honest. I think this could be him and Davis Gaither. I think it could be a breakout year for them. I mean, like I said, I'm no draft expert. I'm just a fan, but I like what I saw last year from those two.
Well, I think, and I can speak to it, and I know the game's changed a lot, but I still think this is a truism. From year one to year two, I mean, the light really goes on. It's like, wow, the game slows down a little bit. You see things you didn't see as a rookie. It's just, there's an adjustment. There really is an adjustment in going against a caliber athlete. Some guys adjust quicker than others. Some guys never do make the adjustment. And that's the thing. You can say that this guy was a can't-miss prospect, and boom, they miss. And here's a guy in the 6th round that, we weren't quite sure, and the guy develops into, a great player. And there's just example after example of it. The greatest example being Brady, a 6th-round pick that's won 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, but you look at in the 4th round. I thought the 4th round they had 4 players in the 4th round.
You just made my wife very happy. She's a Buccaneer fan. I heard her go, woo!
Ah, there you go.
Sorry, go ahead.
When they made the trade in the 4th round and they got the 2 4th-round picks from the New England Patriots, a supplemental pick in the Patriots 4th rounder, they had 4 guys in mind, and with those 2 additional picks, they got 3 of the 4. So they feel pretty good about it. And when you look at it, in the 4th round, a guy named Mike Wilson, Moon Pie, was our right tackle in the 1981 Super Bowl team, 4th rounder out of Georgia. Geno Atkins, 4th rounder out of Georgia. Bill Matapeko, 4th rounder. Clint Bowling, 4th rounder. Carl Lawson, 4th rounder. I mean, a lot of times, 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, that's the meat and potatoes of the draft, and that's the meat and potatoes of your football team. And if you can get additional picks where you're getting after the nuts and bolts of your football team, I don't think that's bad business at all, man.
No, exactly. That's what I loved about this draft, where they had Carmen as their number 1, number 2 offensive lineman. So they had him slated. That's the guy they wanted, and then they were able to trade back and to add was it 3 4th rounders? I'm doing it off the top of my head. I think it was 3 4th.
They added 2 more. They got 2 4th rounders from Patriots. Yeah.
So to add multiple guys, and the guys that they got, I mean, we have a nick. Well, I'm not gonna take credit for it. Jeremy has a nickname for what's the guy's name from LSU? Big
Daddy Bayou, baby.
Yeah,
but that would be Tyler Shelvin from LSU. So TM on that. TM on that, Dave.
So, Dave, we give you permission to call him Big Daddy Bayou on the radio broadcast when he makes his first sack. Just shout out Strawberry Ice.
I like that. I like that. You look at a guy like that though. Man, 350 pounds. He's got some initial quickness. He can penetrate. He can eat up space in there. And he's got athleticism. Watching tape, he's never on the ground.
Yeah,
the dude is always on his feet. I mean, you can't make plays on the ground, and he's not down there very often. And they like this kid, the center from Georgia, Trey Hill, that they got in the 6th round. And this kid might even project to be in the battle at the left guard position as well as center. Depending on what happens, at the center position due to injury with Hopkins. If he's able to make it back from his ACL reconstruction right at the beginning of the season, who knows? There may be, Hill may have to get in a battle there in the mix to see who's going to play in the early stages. But, I mean, when these two went at it, Kelvin won, man. I mean, that guy, nobody blocked him one-on-one.
Right.
Nobody.
That's why I'm so farther and farther we get away from this draft. And I know, like you said, we won't know. That people ask me, like, what do you think about the draft? It's like, well, on paper, I think it's pretty good. If these guys could do what they did in college, they can do it in the NFL, it's going to be a great draft. But that doesn't always happen. But the more and more I've seen the guys who got in it, like you said, the meat and potatoes part of the draft, the more and more I get excited. I think we finally – this is going to be in Zach Taylor's this 3rd year. I think this is going to be the most depth he's had on any team. And that's something that, I've said this on my show, that we have to stack talent. And I think they finally are doing that and creating competition, which competition is good.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, because I don't care who you are, you're going to experience injury, and you just hope that it doesn't wipe the position group out like last year it wiped out the interior defensive line. totally wiped it out. And you hope you avoid that. But everybody experiences injury. So the team that has the most depth, and can overcome that, and you don't have season-ending injuries, too many of those. You lose a guy for 3-4 weeks, whatever it is. You have some depth. You get through that. That's what makes or breaks seasons. That's what keeps you in the hunt, or you're done. So I agree with you. And it's funny, this time of year you don't see anybody in any team after the draft getting up in front of the meeting saying, "Yeah, guys, boy, we screwed that one up." And that's I can't believe that we had no options and we did what we did. This guy has no. I mean, everybody had a great draft. That's why until these guys show up, it's like Santa Claus came and Christmas Eve, and he gave you these guys. Now, when they come to minicamp, you unwrap the presents and take a look at exactly, assemble them, put them together, just like assembling the pike, and find out if you got a player or not, man. And that's just the beginning of it, And then because some guys look like Tarzan in shorts and t-shirts in these minicamps. You put shoulder pads and helmets on, they play like Jane. It's like they don't play. So you don't know until the rubber hits the road, man. Until guys start knocking heads.
That's the thing. Is the North is no joke. This is I think one of the best divisions in football. Now you're probably gonna crack up laugh, but this is what I call the team. We got the Clowns, we got the Squealers, and we got the Ratbirds. I don't say anybody by their name, and plus I also call the Sucky Niners because they beat us twice in 2 Super Bowls. So
oh man,
I'm a little bitter when it comes to I'm a Bengal fan by live or die, so I got names for everybody. But since the Bengals came out with the Ring of Honor, and we know that Paul Brown and Anthony Munoz, both deserving, both of them are already in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Right.
My personal, I'll be irritated if the fans don't vote Ken Rowley and Ken Anderson as the next two into the Ring of Honor. So my question, and I'm a season ticket holder, so I get the vote. Who do you think? And I put it this way: you're going in someday. I'm just telling you this right now. Dave Lapham is going to be. His name is going to be on there. I know you're modest and not going to say it, but you're going to be on there. You've been in this team for too long. You've had too many good memories and good years broadcasting and playing. But who do you think after Ken Rowley and Ken Anderson? Who would be the next if they just go by 2, which we don't know if they're going to go by 2 or not? But who would be the next group you think might go in?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I do think I agree with you. Kenny and Kenny should be in Canton, so those guys should definitely be up on the ring. And I guess I'm with you. I haven't heard anything in terms of if it's going to be 4 a year, 2 a year, if it's going to change. I really don't know any of that. But to me, at some point, Boomer's got to get in there. Boomer. If you've went to the Pro Bowl, won MVP, you had an MVP season. That carries a lot of weight. But then I'll look at interior guys like Crumrye. After practicing against that dude, every single day, that was like playing 1,000 football games. That dude, man, Crumrye was just incredible. He changed that position. Fulcher changed his. Collins. There's so many of this ballot. You could make a legitimate case for so many guys. You really can.
Yeah.
So I think it's again, it brought me back. It brought me full circle because, like I said, played with and covered these guys, and it's like, man, 8 of the 15 guys were in that Super Bowl 16 team, the 1981 team that lost to the 49ers the first time, and I just look at all those guys, and there are guys that aren't on the ballot that like a guy like Danny Ross, a guy like Rodney Holman.
Lamar Parrish.
Well, Lamar's on the ballot.
Oh, Lamar is on there. Sorry, my bad. Yes, he is.
But there are so many guys in this franchise, and that's what hopefully whoever the 2 guys that go in this year, there's 2 more spots on the ballot. Fill it with 2 more, and every year, no matter how many guys go in, they're not going to have any problem getting names that will fill that ballot out for God knows how many years. I don't know if they're going to have enough space for the ring that they're going to be able to maybe have there. That's the way it is. That's the way it is with a lot of teams, I guess.
Exactly. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh no, I was just completely agreeing with him. We've been talking, Willie Anderson a little bit. Guy like him.
Hell yeah.
I think I'll put it this way, and I put Willie Anderson into the same reason why Ken Anderson and Ken Riley should be in. I think Willie should definitely be in the next round because he's another guy that I think deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And if he's not even in our own Ring of Honor, then how is the Pro Football Hall of Fame going to respect Willie even more? So, to my personal opinion, I think Willie should definitely be the next one after Ken Riley and Ken Anderson, and then you could put Boomer in there or. See, Chad, I think, is going to get in earlier than some other guys should get in. But Chad was there. There are guys I think that have season tickets now because of Chad Johnson.
Right.
That he made them Bengals fans, right. And so that's another. So the next two for me could be Willie Anderson and Chad, or Willie Anderson and Boomer. And it would be hard to kick Boomer out for Chad. It'd also be hard to kick Chad out for Boomer. But to me, the next one has got to be Willie Anderson, and then somebody else. If they do 2, if they do 4, or whatever they do.
Willie Anderson and Anthony Munoz. Well, Anthony, obviously, he's maybe in my mind the greatest tackle that ever played. But
absolutely,
Anthony and Willie are the two best tackles, in franchise history. Period. End of discussion.
Love it.
And I mean, Willie is more than worthy of being in Canton, as well as the Ring of Honor and anything else you want to do with Willie Anderson. That guy is he's special. There's no question about it. But yeah, when you think about it, it's every franchise. This franchise has been around for 55 years or whatever the number is now, coming up on. Franchises that have been around for over 100. Think of all the players in those franchises that were worthy football players of whatever recognition. It's nuts, man. It really is.
I mean, people forget about. Everybody always talk about the 85 number, but I want people to not to forget about the original 85, and that's Isaac Curtis.
Yep.
If he played in today's game, he would have unbelievable numbers because back in the 70s and 80s they couldn't pass like they can now. It's ridiculous. When you played in the mid 70s, you can't do half the stuff that they can't pass now, or I'm trying to say they passed way easier now than they did back then. Isaac Curtis would have unbelievable numbers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Isaac Curtis averaged over 17 yards a catch for his career, not for a season, for his career. I mean, he was just unbelievably just talent, explosive, track speed, legitimate track speed. Bob Trumpy, back in the day in the late 60s, early 70s, Bill Walsh was doing things with Bob Trumpy at tight end that they're doing now. They're saying, they're utilizing these tight ends as wide receivers. Oh, Bill Walsh was doing that way back in the day with Bob Trumpy. Bob Trumpy was a big wide receiver. It's like this kid Pitts is a specimen. It's ridiculous. He's a freak and all this, and he's more of a wide receiver than he is a tight end. Trumpy was that kind of guy, man. I mean, they defenses had to change the way they played, to handle Bob Trumpy. And when you make defenses, flinch or do something they really don't want to do, that's when you're punching and they're counter punching. That's when you have something special. Guys, I do have to think about wrapping it here.
No problem. I appreciate you being on, and
man,
for everybody out there, check out you got two podcasts. You got the Bengals Booth podcast and In the Trenches with Dave Lapham. Anything else that I'm missing on, or is that it?
No, that's and really, I want to thank my friends at First Star Logistics for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham. They provide a nice big studio there over at First Star, and we've had a lot of fun with that. So it's fun. It's, as you guys know, talking with people in the sports world, man. Nothing better.
Great. I love it. This has been an absolute blast. I thank you so much for coming on. And anytime you want to come on, and Big Daddy Bayou, you can have that. And if you say it in the game, me and Jeremy will go flipping nuts. Because we'll be like, we did it.
Instead of Big Daddy Wilkinson, Big Daddy Bayou.
There you go.
Exactly.
That's the first person I thought of when I said his name. But, dude, hey, thanks, Dave. You were awesome.
My pleasure, guys. Have a great weekend.
You too. Hoo-day.
Hoo-day, man.
Holy crap, that was awesome.
I've got 12 more pages. Where'd he go?
Dude, I know. I had more questions to ask him. I'm like, man, I could have talked to him for another hour probably, but
I know.
that was cool.
Yep. That was cool, man. That was about as inside as you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to hear. Well, I love to hear more stories about the Freezer Bowl and what those guys went through. And dude, I remember, like I said, I was, I don't know, 7, I think, when it happened, but I did watch it, and I remember it was so cold. I remember them breathing, and it just be smoke flowing out of their mouth. I'm just like, holy crap! How like those guys, and they went out bare armed. Like that game was over before it even started.
Oh yeah, I mean they were real men. They went out, they stuck it to them. It was over. I mean, but you're not kidding. It looked like everybody had a big cigar in their mouth, and they were just hiding it in the back of their pants when they exhaled. You know, oh my gosh. But for him to give us some of that inside stuff, dude, and just the Vaseline and talking about some of the dude's big paws, you know, that's all Dave. Yeah. That's Dave right there.
Dave Lapham had hot dogs for fingers. He said,
"Hot dog, yeah, yeah, that's hot dogs for fingers, man."
Well, that's the one thing I got to tell you is when I was DMing him back and forth, and he answered me, and he for not being able to come on one of the days, he's like, "Yeah, no gas today." I'm like, okay, I know that's Dave Lapham because that's a Dave Lapham saying. He would say something like that. So
no gas.
I really hope you guys like that as much as I did. If you missed any of it, like I said, it's going to be on the channel. And if you want to listen to it, I'll be posting it on the podcast later on tonight. But I just want to thank all the Facebook groups that we're live streaming on right now. And if you guys are watching this on any Facebook group, please make sure you go to my YouTube channel, Sports with Strawberry Ice. Please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. We're at 1,070 something subscribers. So please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 2,000 as fast as I can. I want to thank the favorite groups. They are Houday Nation, which is a great Bengals group. Cincinnati Reds, riding third, heading for home. Bearcat Country, the Ohio State Bucknuts. The Ice Bar, which is just a show page that me and Jerry do silly TikToks, silly memes, and we just, it's a virtual bar. You hang out and you talk. And then you follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, where I have 1,048 likes and 1,046 followers. I'm on Twitter at Jeff A. Trunapole. I only have 517 followers. Try to get that up a little bit. If you're on Twitter, check me out. Follow me. I'm on Instagram, also under Sports Strawberry Ice. TikTok, it's Iceman90. And like I said, I'll be pulling the sound off later on tonight. And we're at YouTube. Like I said, YouTube, you guys are awesome. 1,070. And I wanted to tell Dave the way we ended the show. See, I could have had more stuff. I had way so much more stuff to ask him. I want to tell him how we end the show because he was broadcasting on the radio that game when Sam Weiss goes, "You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati." I would have loved to ask you, like, what was your reaction to that? Because I know me, when I watched it, I got up out of my couch. I'm like, yeah, that's right.
Get him. Hopefully he will flip it around, watch it tomorrow just to check out how he looked. And
sure. Yeah, I'm totally sure Dave Lapham watch my show again.
Definitely.
So, yeah, we got to see how we looked on the Ice show. You know, we got to see what's going on.
Yeah, right on. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, it is almost 6:30. What do you say we roll on out of here?
Man, great show. It's a great show, bro.
So how do we normally end it, Jeremy?
Okay.
What do we normally say? Huh?
Are we
see?
done?
Look, people. He's lost all train of thought. This is Jeremy.
Jeremy I'm waiting for Dave.
Jeremy is still in fandom. He's just like, oh, I talked to Dave Lapham.
Where's Dave?
Where's Dave? Where's Dave? Hey, Dave, where'd you go? Dave.
Coming after your address, Dave. Anyway.
End it already. Let's get the hell out of here.
If you want out of here, bro, we will get out of here if we have to, because this was an awesome show, you guys. And there ain't nothing else to say other than, as always, remember
everybody,
one thing.
All together.
And one thing only. And that is, you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati, and we just had on Dave Freaking Lapham. Houday!
Wait, did we? Or was that just a dream? Did we start drinking?
We had him.
We did. We had Dave Lapham was actually on our show.
Hold on. Did we?
Wait, was he? I think so.
He was.
Holy crap, he was
on the show.
On the show. That's so cool. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Hooray! Let's go, Reds. Shogo Akiyama's back in the lineup tonight. Let's kick some Cleveland Indian ass. And as always, you guys have a great weekend. And that's just sports, baby. See ya!